Hi, everybody, and welcome to And Action Filmmaking Podcast. It's episode 45. We've got a really exciting topic. I'm here, as always, with Mikey Messier, my fearless co-host. And today, we better be fearless because us humans are going to be discussing the opposition of the future, which is artificial intelligence and its effect on the movie business. Are the computers coming to take our jobs? Will the robots replace us creatives? I sure hope not. We'll find out. We're going to discuss that and more. But a lot's been going on. Before we get into the topic, let's just dive right into it. Mike, how you been, buddy?
Well, actually, this is not Mike. This is Mike's computer simulated replicant,
Haha.
MCF2. And I'm here to spread false information, false flags, fake news, and all types of misinformation in order to confuse the public and to normalize this behavior. But I'm doing fine beyond that. I'm doing
You know,
good.
Mike, you glitched out a couple times when we were just talking in the pre-show, and I was like, something seems different about Mike. Yeah, it's been a busy couple weeks. Before we get into our discussion of artificial intelligence, I just wanted to talk about what's been going on. The last couple of weeks have been very eventful.
Yep.
Um, Everybody knows if you don't know, I'll tell you now, I've been working on a television pilot called The Florist, which I'm really excited about. So lots of heavy duty editing sessions trying to get that rough cut together before I go on to my next movie venture. That's always kind of the game you play as a filmmaker. You know, you want to give your 100% to whatever you're working on, but it's all about timing. You know, you want to make sure that you get that few weeks stretch to like, okay, this is all I got to focus on. Let me get this done. Then I can move on to prep. So I've got a nice little window to get the florist done. It's been going well. Been working on that. And I just finished up a movie called Chosen Family, which is kind of funny. You know, we had the wrap party last weekend on Friday, and this is a great movie. It stars Heather Graham, and it's also a script that she wrote, and she's directing it. So Heather Graham, you know, a bit of an icon there.
Yes.
Was really cool to be working with her. What a wonderful person, just such a nice person to work with. And obviously, you know, she's been on a movie set since she was a kid. So just has a great sort of film IQ. So it was really fun to work on this project with her. I was on the movie very briefly. I was only there for, this is kind of funny, man. I'm in one scene in this movie. I play Julia Stiles, who's also another, you know, icon of sorts. It was really cool to play her boyfriend in this scene, and it was by far one of the more interesting situations for me because normally, and Mike, you can attest to this. A lot of times when you come on a movie, even if you're just a day player, like you'll get there, you'll go through the works, as we call it. If you don't know what the works are, that's when they do your hair, your makeup, get your wardrobe ready. You get your sides. You're all ready to go. You're as they say 100, and you know
Camera
you go
ready.
through your camera ready, and then a lot of times you'll wait on set for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours till after lunch. And finally, we get to you at the end of the day, and it's like your makeup has melted off your face. You've been sitting around in your wardrobe all day. And oh, finally, we're getting in there. This was the exact opposite. It was a very early call time. I got in at like 6 a.m. By the time I was like through the works, I was on set by probably 7 or 8 a.m. And I remember, you know, we shot the scene. It was great. You know, went really well. Great scene with Heather Graham, Julia Stiles, and a terrific actor by the name of John Brotherton, who was most recently in the new Fuller House, the Fuller House program on Netflix. Terrific actor, great guy. Um, in this scene, banged it out, and okay, we're moving on. You know, first AD says we're moving on, and I look at
Danucci's wrapped.
yeah, look, that's a wrap on Tom DiNucci. And I look at my watch, I'm like, shit, it's 10, I think it's like 10 a.m., 10:30. I was on set for like a total of 4 hours.
Wow.
Um, so a nice, tight little compact day for me on the set of Chosen Family. I really had a great experience on that one.
It's
Um,
awesome.
and it was fun to be at the wrap party. Always nice to celebrate the movie a little bit. That movie is produced by Chad Verdi. Really fun to hang with him and his family. Michelle Verdi also produced the movie, and Chad Verdi Jr., Paul Luba, the whole gang was there. Even my dear friend Glenn Ciano was there. Glenn's wife, Gina Ciano, worked on the film. So a family affair, as always. So the name of the movie is Chosen Family. It was a little bit of a family affair altogether. So very appropriate title for this one, and we had a great time working on it. And there were, as far as I know, there were no robots cast in this film.
Well, just so people know, if they don't know, they probably do. Heather Graham. I first heard of her as Roller Girl in the classic Boogie Nights, and then she was in Austin Powers 2, I believe. She was the leading lady of Austin Powers 2, and she was in the Hangover movies, 5 or 6 years after that. And when you said she's been acting since a kid, that kind of surprised me. I don't recall her being
No,
a kid.
buddy, you might not remember it, but the movie License to Drive with the
Oh
Corey,
yeah, the Corey brothers.
yeah, she's like the female, the lead girl in that movie, and she's a teenager.
Wow.
So to me, that's a kid. That she's been in
Yeah.
the business since she was a kid. Let's check in with everybody. We got Stephen E here. What's up, Stephen? Can't wait for this topic. Been hearing a lot about this. Yeah, it's a big bone of contention among the writers in this writers' strike, the WGA strike. So we're going to be talking about that. Hope not. Hope it just assists. I sure hope so too. I think Stephen's talking about robots taking our creative jobs. Ariana, what's happening, Ariana? How are you? I hope a robot doesn't take your writing job someday. A Family Affair. I wrote a stage play with the same name. That's also a great song. I gotta think of the name of it. There's a great old song. It might be
It's a family affair.
We're gonna look that up.
I want to
Family
get YouTube
Affair.
to take the residuals away from me and give it to them.
Family Affair is a song by. Oh man, we're gonna have to.
Tramps.
Sly and the Family Stone. I thought it was Sly and the Family
Right.
Stone. I almost said it, but
You always got to say it because you want to take the credit if you're right.
I know, and right, always say it. Even if you think
Yeah.
you're wrong, just shoot it out there.
I do that all the time, buddy. And when the time in 10 that you're right about something like that, you look like a genius. And the 9 times that you're wrong out of 10, nobody cares.
Nobody gives a shit.
Right.
Stephen E says John Brotherton. Yes, he was DJ's love interest. I think he did daytime TV too. He did. And quick John Brotherton story, and I'm not going to go into a rabbit hole, but one of my favorite nights during this Chosen Family stretch, we also had the Johnny and Clyde premiere party the same weekend as Chosen Family was still going on.
May 13th.
Sean Ringgold came to town to be there to support the movie. And it was the Friday night before the Saturday night premiere. And I'm sitting down with Sean. I met him at the bar at the hotel he was staying at, which also happened to be the same hotel John Brotherton's staying at for the movie. And then, of course, it was funny. Sean's like, oh, man, I texted John. I'm like, oh, you guys know each other? He's like, know each other. We did soaps together for years in New York. And I'm like, get out. So it was really fun. John rapped that night, came to the bar, and I got to have a couple drinks with Sean and John and just kind of catch up and watch them kind of catch up, which was kind of fun, just seeing them share stories and school me to the world of soap operas and what a wild lifestyle that sounds like. You get your script that day, and okay, we're going to shoot these scenes later on this afternoon, and just sounds like being in a soap opera in New York City. That sounds like just a really great experience for any actor, but especially a young actor who's new on the scene. And it's like, okay, here we go, kid. Welcome to the business. Here are your pages. We're shooting this in 4 hours.
I think Steve Blackwood from the Massachusetts area, and I could be wrong, but did Eric Lutz, or your friend Eric Lutz from The Manor and other movies you've made, did he do soap opera work like in the 90s?
That's a good question. I bet you he did. If I had to play some kind of gambling bet, if I had to place a bet on it, I would say that he most certainly did. But yeah, that was a fun experience. Yes, Sean, there he is. Stephen E knows his stuff. Sean Ringgold and them were partners on the daytime soap. They worked together on that.
Hey, Tommy, Stephen E has a pretty nice YouTube channel too. Just give him a shout out here because I did subscribe to it, and he has some nice motivational Stephen E videos and some good drive-through food reviews, which I always appreciate.
Very cool. We'll have to check that out.
I just want to say this about soap operas. For the younger people at home that are watching this, I don't know if you can explain how big soap operas were in like the 60s, 70s, and 80s, especially going into the 90s. But I think the 80s were that was the decade of the daytime soap, General Hospital, Search for Tomorrow, One Life to Live, As the World Turns, and those soaps made some big stars. Not only as soap opera actors, but some of them broke through to TV movies or TV series or feature films. But people, just like wrestling fans or just like heavy metal fans or horror film fans, Tommy, the soap opera fans are loyal, like hardcore.
Well, you know what it is, Mike? It's funny. In a way, the soap operas were ahead of their time, right? Because it's not uncommon for us today to watch daily content, right? You hear that all the time with influencers, with any kind of YouTube programming, all these different platforms. It's about daily content. People want something to latch onto every day, and they can kind of set their watch to it, and it becomes part of their routine. Destination programming. So I think there's a level of comfort in that. I think, we've heard the term comfort food. People also have comfort shows that they watch. And I think that soap operas provided that daily content for people who maybe were home during the day, or people who maybe work from home. It's like, well, that every day at 11 a.m. you're going to see that soap opera and see all your pals on the show. So it's really cool. And like you said, man, yeah, it was massive in the 80s. I even remember up until trickling through the 90s and early 90s and mid 90s, and shows like Passions were big late 90s. So like it was kind of a thing. And you know what? Who knows? I just don't know enough about it. But I bet you there's a gang of people that are still watching soaps every day. It's just not really on my radar. But yeah, people who are home, hey, it's a little company to have every day.
For the younger people that want to know a little bit about that world in a fun way, watch the movie Tootsie with Dustin Hoffman. What a great movie about the soap opera world, and timely because of the cross-dressing character of Tootsie that Dustin plays.
Let's get into what we're here to talk about, which is AI in movies, artificial intelligence. So this is a touchy subject. A lot of people have been kind of chatting about this. We've been seeing it all over the news. Mike had kind of grazed upon something earlier, and I don't want to go too deep into this, but there are even dangers of AI. Yesterday, as of today's May 23rd, yesterday, May 22nd, an AI-generated photo of the Pentagon under attack made the feed there, and the stock market dropped massively. Like, there was a massive drop in the stock market due to this fake picture that a computer generated and put out there. So it's really a wild thing. There are dangers to AI that I don't think that all of us kind of, see beyond just the obvious. I mean, everybody's seen Terminator. Everybody's seen, all of these science fiction movies. I mean, the idea of a computer coming in to replace a human being, forget about computer. How about we're going to use an old word, the idea of a machine coming in to replace a human being to do something. This has been a part of our lives for a long time, right? I mean, probably all the way back to the Industrial Revolution. I'm sure that there were people pissed off that all of a sudden there's all these machines in these factories that are going to replace these humans. Well, we used to take all the seeds out of the cotton or whatever. We used to remove all of those things by hand. Now you have a machine that does it. Well, what am I going to do for work? So it's like the idea of being replaced by something that doesn't eat, doesn't drink water, doesn't need to go to sleep at night. This is not an uncommon notion, right?
Well, I think this is the first and only time we can reference Eli Whitney on this show, but
Shout out to Eli Whitney, inventor of the cotton gin.
Yeah. But I mean, if you ever saw that movie Gung Ho, where the Japanese have all these high powered machines, and the poor Detroit car makers are trying to keep their jobs, and they're being replaced by higher technology. Yeah, we've seen this for a while, Tommy. I would also add, on top of what you just said, another danger is not just the AI kind of doing things to replace humans, but certain humans using AI as a weapon of evil and not for good. And I can give you a little bit of an example, just in my own imagination. If you remember that story of Epstein and Maxine, the horrible people that they were, Epstein Island and all that garbage. But if you remember, the Prince Andrew was accused of being a part of that, and they actually had a photograph of Prince Andrew with an underage escort that was one of those Epstein things. And he claimed up and down, this is not me. Well, that looks like me, but I wasn't there, blah, blah, blah. I tended to think he was lying, but now with this AI, how easy is it for people to fabricate photographic evidence that could put someone in jail? How easy is it to take your head, put it on someone else's body, and fake a crime scene of any kind, car accident, mugging? And how easy would it be to frame people for things they did not do? And on the other hand, how easy would it be for a lawyer to say, we know you have this photographic evidence, but with all the wonders of AI, photographic evidence can't be reliable anymore. So it goes both ways. And I don't think a lot of people have talked about the legal aspects of this, but that's what comes to my mind.
They have, and there's a lot to, obviously there's so much to get into this. I mean, you could probably have an entire podcast on just AI, and we want to focus today on AI in movies, but it's an excellent backdrop of the potential of how dangerous something this powerful could be, because some of the things to relate this to film, some of the things that they're talking about doing, some of the potential issues are maybe maybe there's going to be a time when you could have Steve McQueen star in a action film, a blockbuster summer movie next to Bradley Cooper, because through AI, with the combination of AI and CGI, they're literally able to take a library of all the words that Steve McQueen has said in any film he's ever been in or any interview. They're able to composite all those words, put them in a machine, and basically make Steve McQueen, animate him to say anything they want him to say in 2023, even though he's been dead for decades. Now, this poses a lot of interesting questions, like when you're able to take someone who's dead and bring them back to life, there's a bit of a moral issue there. There's a moral dilemma, because whatever happened to actors agreeing to do a project, right?
Right.
Now, all of a sudden, are you bastardizing? Are you potentially tarnishing the legacy or the reputation by one of these legendary deceased actors by, McQueen would have definitely done this script. I know his agent or whatever. How do you know? And how do the families react to this? Now, on the other hand, it's great because, everybody's it's all about making money, right? This is all a lucrative business we're trying to do. So it'd be cool to think that a deceased star's families could benefit from them to continue to be cast in films, even if it is an image of them and not really them in body. But there's just a lot of odd kind of moral dilemmas that come in with that. Where do you weigh in, Mike, with the idea of, and real quick before I finish the thought, we're seeing this in music too, right? We're seeing artists. I think a track just came out that somebody kind of used AI to, I wish I knew the official artist, but somebody did a duet with Notorious B.I.G. and it was kind of unsanctioned from what I understand. And the rapper was basically like, well, I always wanted to do a track with Biggie, so I was able to do this. And it's and that's cool. And I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of people that would have loved to collaborate with a lot of artists. But again, it comes down to would the dead artist really want to collaborate with you? And I think it's kind of unfair to just assume that they would because we have the technology.
And from what I understand, Biggie's mama has done a lot of work with his merchandise, T-shirts and so forth. And wouldn't she be entitled to any cut of the profits from that? And so that goes into the whole world of copyright. I mean, we could, 20 years ago was Napster and Metallica debating this stuff. As far as the AI, Tommy, for me, I really wasn't afraid or nervous about it until we started putting the research together for this show. And then, like I said a few minutes ago about the crime thing, and now we talk about film, it's like you said, if they start using Steve McQueen and Elvis and, whoever else from the past as their actors, deceased actors, what about the Mike Messiers and the Tommy DeNucci's of the world and the Stephen E's of the world that are living, breathing humans that might want to act in a movie once in a while? But we have to be fed. We have to be paid. We need travel. We have to memorize lines. And I believe, Tommy, that this is an aspect that SAG-AFTRA is concerned about. I believe that the Writers Guild, of which I'm not a member of, but the Writers Guild are currently on strike. And I didn't know until literally yesterday that I believe AI, the concerns of AI, is part of their reason to strike. Because if, as you put in the notes, if screenplays, TV shows are AI generated, as Justine Bateman from Family Ties has pointed out so well in a series of tweets, if they're making new content based on old actors' performances and on old scripts, who's to profit from that? And what about the opportunities lost from living, breathing people that are still alive now?
Yeah, Mike, I mean, that's a big one. The idea that, a program like ChatGPT, which I recently, recent as a couple months ago, kind of just learned what that was. It's amazing, man. My friend showed me what it is, and we were just kind of, fooling around with it. And my friend was like, write a poem about breakfast. And this machine is able to just put together like a pretty cohesive poem about various breakfast foods and the types of things that are on the table and why you enjoy them. And it's pretty friggin' good. And it happened in a matter of seconds. This robot was able to put this thing together. So it's really crazy to think that, what's to stop any writer from being like, ooh, gee, I have a scene between two mechanics, and I don't know much about auto mechanics. Chad GPT, write a scene between two mechanics and what they would be talking about if a carburetor was broken on a classic 69 Chevelle. And then boom, it could just provide this information for you. Now, granted, maybe that's a good tool to use. You hear a lot of people say that, and I love hearing stuff like this. Well, use it. It's okay if you use it as a tool. And it's like, well, what does that mean?
Right.
What kind of tool are you using it as that isn't just Google? Because it's one thing if you want to say like, well, gee, I don't really know how mechanics communicate, and I'm writing a screenplay and there's a scene that takes place in an auto body shop. Normally, our screenwriter would, I don't know, go hang out in an auto body shop for an afternoon, find a buddy who is a mechanic and say, hey, can I shadow you for an hour? I just want to hear some of the terms. You'd put some fucking work in, guys. You'd put a little effort in.
Yeah.
You'd maybe read a book just about auto mechanics. Maybe you'd do some research the old school way, the old fashioned way. You'd gather information. And now that's all kind of removed because, again, it's just more pointing towards laziness of, just tell the machine what you want the scene to be about, and they'll crank some pages together, and you can use what you want, leave what you don't. Like, is that what we mean? And I'm asking the question, like, is that what people mean? Like, use it as a tool? Because it's beyond me.
Well, here's the problem with these tools, Tommy, is a lot of times people, especially kids, because they just don't know any better, they don't just use it as a tool, they become dependent on the tools. And we've seen in some of these YouTube videos where a teacher takes a kid's, and this happens in real life, these are not skits. Teacher takes the kid's smartphone away because the kid's probably texting in class or something. And the kid gets angry, maces the teacher. This is actually happening. Punches the teacher. This is actually happening where the kids, and it's a whole phone rant, but I mean AI is going to make it worse. If the kid is dependent on this machine, which we all are to an extent now, but if the kid's really dependent on it, it's like their arm. You're like taking an axe to their arm to take away their phone for 5 minutes, and that's scary if people can't separate. I'm a human being and these are my pieces of equipment. If on some subconscious or conscious level they start to think that they are intertwined with their tools, we are screwed.
Yeah, it's funny, man. 10, maybe even 12 years ago, I distinctly remember making a Facebook post that said something to the tune of, it's all fun and games until the creativity drones come in and replace all of us screenwriters. And I called them creativity drones. And everyone, ha ha, laugh, laugh.
LOL, yeah.
And here we are, man. It's literally happening. It's something right out of science fiction. But here's the difference, and here's what I hope will be the difference. And I gotta say, I kind of tend to side with the WGA members on this one. I do think there should be some kind of line drawn in the sand where it's like, hey, you money grubbing executives, don't think of this as just like, ooh, wait a minute. You mean we can just replace the writers? We don't even need to deal with these people anymore?
Right.
Come in. R2D2, C3PO, get behind the computer, type something up for us. Make me an action movie, and 3PO, you get me a drama. Let's have it, by lunch. I think that they would do that. So maybe it is time that the writers, before this becomes a serious fucking problem, which it very well could be, like, guys, if we have this technology now, and technology is exponentially exploding and climbing to rapid speeds, what the fuck are these things going to be able to do in 10 years? Like in 15, in 20 years? So let's stop it now and put a little bit of a line in the sand down. And that's why these writers are doing it. Mike, like you said, it didn't seem scary to you yesterday. But when you start doing some research, you realize the capabilities of these potential capabilities of these AI, creativity drones, if you will. And it's a very scary thing. So I'm glad that the writers are kind of saying, hey, wait a minute. This is just a little rip in the lining right now, just a
Right.
tiny little tear. Let's stop this before the entire boat starts taking on some serious water here and we go sink. So hopefully it ends up working in their favor. We're going to check in with some people here on the And Action hotline. Kim, what's up? Good to see you, Kim. It's been a while. Hope your spring is off to a great start as we rapidly approach summer.
Hello, Kim.
Charlie, what's up, Charlie Short Films? Good to see you, brother.
Charlie.
Ariana says laziness could be an issue, and also AI can only recycle, so it could lead to stereotypes growing in media and losing the intricacies of humanity. That's a great point, Ariana.
Well said.
I'm going to talk about a little something about that in a minute.
Hey, it's my buddy Laza. He watched Johnny and Clyde over in Australia, Tommy.
What's up, Laza? Thank you so much, brother. Always appreciate you sharing all my posts on Facebook and everything like that. We really appreciate that.
I think Laza also bought my book recently, which I appreciate.
Very
Distance
nice.
from Avalon. Very good, Laza. Thanks, pal.
The world is turning into the Terminator films. It really is, or Blade Runner, or name that science.
What was the name of the company in Terminator 2?
Cyberdyne Technologies,
yeah, something like that. Hey, Tommy, on a lighter note, I want to get into the Justine Bateman thing because I think she really put it to. But I had some fun with AI. I don't know if you can see that from last week. I just made some fun AI. That's my
like a cat. You stop moving the phone, buddy. It's hard for us to see when you're.
Yeah, I'm trying to cover up the reflection there.
It's a cat eating a pizza. It's a wonderful.
Well, it's a cat. I put cat gets stuck in the pizza.
Oh, he's stuck in the pizza.
Like the poor cat is stuck in the pizza.
And there you have it, folks. That's the capabilities right there. You can anything if you can think it, if you can dream it, you can do it with AI. Mike, those pictures aren't really showing up, buddy.
Oh, that's true.
Unfortunately, but I'm sure they're wonderful. So let's talk about AI and in the sense of Ariana just mentioned something about the human condition. There are plenty of things that a machine or a robot, whatever you want to call it, can do better than a human.
Right.
That doesn't mean I want to watch a machine do it. For example, I'm a sports guy, so I'm going to make a sports reference. I guarantee you they could create some kind of machine, robotic, human being to step at the plate with a baseball bat and almost every time hit a ball 1,000 yards out of a ballpark, out of any ballpark in Major League Baseball.
Right.
There's probably some kind of machine that you could just position there and a pitcher can throw on the ball and they'll crank it out of the park. That doesn't mean I want to spend a Sunday afternoon watching a bunch of fucking robots playing baseball. Like, you want to see humans interact. It's the human condition. It's the idea that it's nice that humans have mistakes. We like the fact that they make mistakes. We like the fact that humans are going to fuck up. And that's what kind of makes things interesting, whether you're watching a sport, whether you're watching some kind of reality TV show, or whether it's a narrative and we're creating something. Usually a lot of great plots come from the infallibility of humans and the fact that we are a little broken. And
your mistakes become your style is what the cinematographer Steven Fierberg used to say. Your mistakes become your style.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is a lot of the great screenplays, and this is the same thing for music, a lot of the greatest songs of all time, they come from unique places of pain. They come from unique life experiences. They come from interacting with other humans. And I just find it hard to believe. And who knows, maybe we'll be replaying this in 5 years when a robot wins the first fucking robot to win an Oscar. But I just find it hard to believe that an AI written screenplay will truly be able to identify with like what goes on in here between human beings. Let's hope it doesn't get to that. But that's what I'm kind of hanging on to as a professional writer. Like, this is literally how I make my living. I don't know. I'd still go toe to toe with a computer any day of the week, because a computer hasn't cried, a computer hasn't laughed, a computer hasn't really loved. Like, these are important things that connect with us when you're watching a movie. In the movie, you feel like it gets you, and this movie was almost written just for you, and the hairs on your arms stand up. Let's see if the fucking robots can pull that off.
Can I give Justine Bateman a little time here, buddy? Anyone can find her tweets online, but basically what she said is, if you fed one of these computers, the AI generations, the program, I should say, the scripts of season 1 through 8 of 1 through 7 of Family Ties, like the actual scripts of the actual shows from the 80s.
Real quick, Mike, let's tell everybody, for the younger viewers, if you don't know who Justine Bateman is, and if you don't know what Family Ties is, as shocking as it may be, I bet you if you walk down the street, 80% of the kids out there, maybe 90%, I bet you 90% of people under 30 are unfamiliar with what Family Ties was.
Sure.
Family Ties was a massive TV show in the 80s, which starred Michael J. Fox. It was Michael J. Fox's star vehicle. And it was the TV show that America kind of watched Michael J. Fox become the star, and he shortly thereafter went on to do Back to the Future, and the rest is history. So Family Ties was a mega show.
It came on after Cosby Show, so it was 8 o'clock Cosby, 8:30 Family Ties for years. Justine Bateman was the sister. She played Michael Keaton's sister, Mallory Keaton. Of course, she's Justin Bateman's sister in real life. And but Justine basically went on this Twitter thing, and she says this, Tommy, I'm going to read it direct. This is from her. The really kind of harsh reality of AI in the entertainment business is it's trained on all of our past work, all of our scripts, our films, all these actors' performances, all of this. So it's a regurgitation. It's an amalgamation, she said. You give it a task and it spits out some new product based on all of our past work. Bateman said she has the copyright office involved, as this is, quote, a massive infringement, the size of which we've never seen before. She's also warned SAG-AFTRA actors to have, quote, ironclad protection against the AI of their image and voice, and to demand it from SAG-AFTRA, and not to accept any AMPTP, Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers, proposal that does not have it. When Sam asked her if this was even a possibility, the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers refuses, according to her, Justine Bateman, to engage with the Writers Guild of America at all, which she says is extremely troubling. So when people ask, Tommy, and a friend of mine who's not in the entertainment world asked, what's going on with this writer's strike? Who are they striking against? I had to look it up myself. They are striking against the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers, and most likely SAG-AFTRA is going to join that strike at some point. And this is big time stuff. So, I mean, it's not just the humans being afraid of the flying cars in the year 2000 anymore. This is the reality. And what she said, just to finish up, if you put the 7 seasons of Family Ties that actually aired in reality into a generator, it could produce an 8th season of scripts. And maybe you could have computer generated actors or animations act out that 8th season of scripts. And would the actual actors, the actual writers, the actual directors of the real seasons 1 through 7 from that show, or any show in this circumstance, get any type of residual or payoff or payment? That's what's at stake. So I hope I got all that out there, buddy.
Yeah, I think that was a really nice way of presenting Bateman's argument. And I do think she has a lot of excellent points. I think that there's a lot of massive, massive legal repercussions here, especially when, like she said, if this AI technology is primarily pulling from the past and basing the story structure and the formula for writing based on a lot of other productions and shows and programs, where's the fine line between, what's going to happen when they get a little too close, and by them I mean the AI writers, when they get a little too close to a script that's already established? Will they know the difference? And that's the thing. Like, and again, please forgive us, because we're really talking out of our ass here, and I mean that respectfully. I don't know a lot about this stuff. I'm not a computer programmer. I'm not into robotics. I don't know. Maybe you can program maybe you can program a piece of AI or an AI device with the legalities. Like, you probably could say, okay, you must change a screenplay 65% for it to be considered a different work. And I'm using these numbers, again, pulling them out of the air.
Sure.
But maybe you can program them to know, like, okay, you can steal this, this, and this, but you can't steal this. But you can take that. But if you take this, that's a copyright infringement. Again, we're talking about something that's very, very advanced. And you can literally just, in my mind, this is how computers work. It's like there's some kind of like a little valve, and you can pour these ideas into it, and you pour whatever the fuck idea you want into that valve, and that's how you program the motherfuckers. Like, oh, a little copyright info. Hold on, let me unscrew the cap here. Pour that shit in. You're a genius on copyright now, because that's what we're talking about. Some advanced stuff. I know there's probably no actual liquid that you pour in them, but it would be cool if there was. So really, at the end of the day, Mike, I think it is something to be looked at with a lot of scrutiny. I am on the side of the writers on this one. I think we got to put a stop to this before it really becomes a massive issue. Because frankly, I don't give a shit. I don't want to go watch movies with robots in them. I don't want to go watch movies made by machines. I really don't. It's just not for me. But let's play the devil's advocate for 1 second here.
Okay.
Let's be those guys. If at the end of the day it's all about entertaining people, and this is a way to bring more content, more programs, streamline the process, do we owe it to them to give it a shot? Do we have to at least see what they got and see, like, okay, have at it, AI screenwriters. Let's see what you got and give them an honest watch. What if it is better? What if it is way better than anything we ever saw? And then maybe we can think of, and I can't right now, but help me. And if you're watching along, help me out. I'm sure there's a lot of machines that came out 100, 200, name that century ago. When they first came out, people were like, whoa, I ain't going to touch that thing. I'm not, like, maybe a car, who knows?
No, it was the horse and buggy.
When people first saw the car, maybe they were like, whoa, are you fucking crazy? You think I'm going to get in that thing and drive around at high speeds? I don't think so.
Well, how many horse and buggy deaths do you think happened? I'm sure there was some, but I mean, how many horse and buggy high speed accidents or drinking and driving a horse and buggy? I'm sure there was some accidents, but there wasn't the number of cars, but we still drive cars. The other thing, Tom, I mean, this is not AI, but
you know what I mean? Can you think of an example, Mike?
I just did.
Inventions that, aside from the car, but like, things that come out, there's probably so many things that like humans are hesitant about. And then 2 years later, we are just enthralled to them. Like I think an iPhone's probably one of those things.
An iPhone?
You know what I mean? Like sure. When the iPhone came out, I don't think people realized that they were going to be glued to everyone's fucking face for eternity.
Well, Tommy, when people got TVs in their homes, they thought that would put the movie industry out of business. They thought it would put radio out of business. And we still have radio and we still have movies, and they coexist with TV, and TV became another way to promote movies and vice versa. So I do feel on some level, Tommy, that humanity will find a way to keep ourselves in the mix. But in another sense, Tommy, at some point, it's like, you know what? And whenever I'm dead, I won't have to worry about this stuff anyway. But you don't have to be macabre about it. But I
Well,
do.
that's where you're wrong, buddy.
They're going to
Because you
generate
never
me.
know. They might just AI your ass, and you
Well,
could be missing out on all these great residuals. I'm with Charlie Short Films on this one. We want to stay human. Let's go back. We're going to go back in time and see what some of our And Action Hope supporters here had to say about the topic. Um,
play Mount. Okay.
Laza says the first season of Star Trek, Picard goes into AI versus human sort of themes. It's quite interesting. It's amazing that topics in Star Trek are now becoming realities. Played Mallory Keaton. Yeah, see. I did not know that this was Jason. That's Jason Bateman's sister.
Yes.
What a powerful acting family.
Well, Tommy, you may not know this, but at the time, and Stephen E. probably knows, and Kim probably knows, Kaling, Justine Bateman was on Family Ties, which is like the #2 show in the country, and her brother Justin Bateman
Hogan family.
played something else. He played the heel on Silver Spoons with Ricky Schroeder.
Okay.
He was the jerk.
No, but wasn't Bateman in Hogan Family too?
He was, but that was like 5 years later. Yeah,
that was later. Gotcha.
that was the end of the '80s.
And then, if you didn't know, Stephen E. says the mother, Meredith Baxter Bernie.
Yes.
Bernie mom was an actress on the '60s show named Hazel. I've heard of that show. A lot of rich connections in Family Ties.
Well, Family Ties. Meredith Baxter Burney was also the queen of like the Lifetime made-for-TV movies, where she was typically playing an abused wife that got revenge on her bad husband.
Right. Okay. Laza says, "My pleasure for sharing your stuff and enjoying it." Thank you, man. We appreciate that. You have robot blow-up sex dolls now that are programmed to act like human companions. Well, hey, that seems like a victimless crime to me.
What time is it? I know the rest of my week.
Crazy times we live in. Yeah, could you drop down a website in the comments?
Yes, leave a link, Laza.
Aradham. I hope I'm saying that right, brother.
Looks like a weightlifter.
Hello to you. Yeah, I see you hitting the gym there, brother. Keep it up. Keep it up. Andre says, "I love the creativity that comes from a human brain." Yeah, man.
Like my book, Andre. Thank you.
Let's just hope that continues on, because, all right, Mike, we see the book. Thanks.
Well, I want to prove that I wrote it, not an AI.
Of course not. Yes, Andres. Charlie says, absolute. People used to warn the dangers of the newspapers. Yeah, I mean, I think people are always a little afraid of technology at first. That's why I'm trying to just think devil's advocate.
Yeah, the Rocky robot in Sylvester Stallone's re-edit of Rocky IV, didn't he take out the robot that's Paulie's gift?
Yeah, I believe he did, and I'm sure a lot of fans were outraged because, like Laza, I remember the robot. I thought it was adorable,
right?
Although a little beefy and large in size, and could definitely kill you if it got mad. We want to stay human. Video killed the radio star.
That's the first
that song today.
First video ever played on MTV
by the Buggles. Yes, Hogan family, Valerie's family. I wasn't aware of Valerie's family.
They killed off Valerie. It was first called Valerie. Then they wrote her off the show because she wanted more money.
Really?
They called it Valerie's Family, and they killed her off, and they still called it Valerie's Family. And they said, you know what? Valerie's dead. Let's call it the Hogan Family.
And then, of course, the beloved Mrs. Poole, the neighbor, that everyone's favorite. That's my favorite 80s neighbor, Mrs. Poole. She really cared about those kids.
Was she the lady in the Ferris Bueller's Day Off? The
exactly.
secretary? Good actress.
Laza says AI killed the human actor star.
Good.
Grim look at the future, but it could be true. It could be true. And look at this. Stephen E. just,
Guy McClure, yeah.
Be honest, brother. Is there Google involved, or are you just a TV genius? Because I am very impressed with your knowledge of 80s sitcoms. And if I'm ever in any kind of phone a friend situation where I need to answer one of these questions, I know who I'm coming to. As he says, Eddie McClurg, was she Mrs. Poole? I wonder if AI books WWE. They probably will.
Seems like it.
Even says, I was around in the 80s. I was too. I was just, literally crawling around the floor for the most part. So, guys, this has been a really great discussion. We're going to start to wrap it up. This one's for Steven, because I know he's a big wrestling fan. Dusty Rhodes, the famous wrestler, one of his most famous speeches is the Hard Times speech. It's about Dusty basically speaking to some of the problems of America and some of the difficulties that we face. And there's a great quote that I'm going to read. It
You
says,
gotta do
hard
it.
times are when the auto workers are out of work and they tell them to go home. And hard times are when a man has worked at a job 30 years, and they give him a watch, kick him in the butt, and say, hey, a computer took your job, daddy. And that's hard times. So let's just hope that Dusty Rhodes, who said this way back when, and what was that, 1986, Mike?
That was 85, before
80
Starkey 85.
Way back in 85.
You got to say it in the Dusty voice, though. A man worked for a company for 35 years. They kick him in the butt and say, Daddy, a computer took your job.
Well, you know,
It's
I was
hard
trying to give
times.
him, Mike, I'm trying to give him more dignity and read it in a more like political voice that,
I'm
you know,
trying.
maybe like this could be his campaign. Like this is something he can build his whole platform on.
His politics after death career.
Yeah. Yeah, when they bring Dusty back to life and
As
he
a
runs for
politician.
president, it's very possible.
Well, Tommy,
Dusty
what
Rhodes,
is
the common
topic?
man, and sweet Sapphire. Everyone loves that wonderful woman, Sapphire. Really been a great topic. Thank you so much, Kim. His legacy does live on with Dustin and Cody. So, guys, I just wanted to say before we wrap this up, thank you so much for everybody who's watching along. I have a lot of fun every Tuesday jumping on here with you. As always, tell your friends about the show. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And a lot of our friends out here, Ariana, Andres, thank you so much for the weekly shares on the story. That's a big help. If you want to share the link and tell your friends that you don't mind spending 45 minutes to an hour with your good buddy Mike and your friend Tom here every Tuesday, talking movies and shooting the breeze, let them know that we have a fun time on here and all is welcome. Honestly, I mean this, guys. I apologize if I don't get to every comment, but we encourage as much commenting as possible. I try my best. We're here to talk to you guys. So if you get something to say, and it doesn't have to be about the topic. I mean this. Like if people are out there watching this and you've got your movie questions and maybe you've got a project next week and you're not sure how to get a shot, come on the show, drop it down on the questions, and we'll do a little impromptu Q&A forum whenever it's necessary. So we're here to help out. We appreciate you being there. And let's just briefly talk about next week. Next week, we're going to be talking about a movie that I worked on called Money Plane. This movie was produced by Richard Switzer, directed by Andrew Lawrence, and it starred Kelsey Grammer, who I had a blast working with. And for you wrestling fans out there, it starred Edge himself.
You think you know him, Tommy?
I think I know him. And if you don't know him, his real name is Adam Copeland, and he is one of the nicest people that I've ever met. And I mean that. I know I say that a lot, but he really is just such a nice guy. So we're going to be talking about that movie. The reason why we're talking about it is because it was recently named on a list of greatest airplane movies of all time. And you have to say it like that anytime you mention it up. So join us next week on Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern. Mike and I are going to be taking it to the sky and talking about Money Plane. Mike, you got anything else to say?
A question for you is Money Plane available on streaming for the audience to watch it this week?
Mike,
Before
that is a wonderful question. Let me look it up. I go watch whenever I want to watch something. I go watch Money Plane.
How to watch Money Plane.
And then boom, guys, you're in luck. You can go to Tubi right now and watch Money Plane for free. God, I love Tubi. Tubi is such a great platform, man. They have so many awesome movies on there, great TV shows, and it's free. What's better than that? So go on to Tubi and punch in Money Plane and give that a watch, because next week we're going to be diving into it. It's an outrageous movie. It's very funny. It's got a lot of action. Joey Lawrence is in it. His brother directed it, Andy Lawrence. Just a really fun cast. It's literally about a casino in the sky. It's called Money Plane. So I'm excited for that, and I hope to watch along with you guys real soon. Mike, it sounds like you've got something to say.
Before we end on AI, I saw this morning in the gym on the TV with closed captioning a story about AI, and the big point at the end was, how do we regulate this stuff? Well, guess what, Tommy? In Europe and even in China, they already have regulations for AI photography that you have to have, like, at least in China, you have to have a watermark on an AI created image. USA, we don't have any regulations. So sometimes, as great as our democracy and freedoms are, which I wouldn't trade for anything, the downside sometimes is that we're a little bit slow with our regulations, and maybe the cat gets out of the bag before we put a collar around its neck.
Well, I think that you're right on this in what you said. I think that we might just be a step behind the 8 ball in terms of catching up to technology and where the parameters should be laid down. And I bet you anything, after yesterday, when that AI image of the Pentagon being bombed, which was false, by the way, if you're just tuning in now, there was a fake image of the Pentagon being bombed, which caused a literal drop in the stock market because people panicked. I bet you after that, you're going to see some kind of watermark or, some kind of stipulation, because I mean, it's all fun and games until you start fucking with people's money, right?
Yeah, and like I said, we pride ourselves. I do, of course, of being a United States citizen, but sometimes other countries are quicker on these type of things. As for me, buddy, I'm continuing to write. The screenplays, the books, and my art has actually caught some attention. So I appreciate that. People can follow me on One Mike Messier, One Man in the Camera Films, and One Pro Wrestling and Sports Fan. And Tommy, I hope you have a productive and safe week, and all of our audience does as well.
Yes, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, everybody. Like I said, this is a very therapeutic part of my week, and we look forward to keeping it going next week when we talk about Money Plane. It's a casino in the sky. I'm excited for it. All right, guys, thanks and have an awesome week. We'll see you soon.